The sun beat down on Willow Creek Estates like it was personally invested in keeping every blade of grass at exactly 2 inches. That was Rule 3.7b, right after the one about approved beige siding only, no deviations. Not even for tasteful accent trim. Alex Morgan had lived here 3 years, paid his dues on time, and never once raised his voice. He drove the same 1974 Porsche 911 he'd restored himself, parked it in the driveway like any normal guy, and spent his days in the home office that looked, from the street, like any other spare bedroom. To the outside world, he was just another quiet 27-year-old in jeans and a button-down from Target. The kind of neighbor you nodded at but never really noticed. Karen Vanderbilt noticed everything. She was president of the Willow Creek HOA, a title she wore like a crown and defended like a fortress. Every Tuesday, she cruised the streets in her spotless white Mercedes, clipboard in hand, pastel pantsuit immaculate, smile fixed in that way that said, "I'm only doing this for the community." Her emails arrived like clockwork, subject lines in all caps, passive-aggressive footnotes citing bylaws by section and subsection. Alex had a folder just for them. Violation notice, vehicle aesthetic noncompliance. Violation notice, lawn height irregularity. Violation notice, unauthorized commercial activity. Observe prolonged screen time suggestive of day trading gambling. He paid every fine without argument. $150 here, $275 there. He even mowed the lawn with a ruler in his back pocket because Karen had once sent a certified letter demanding photographic proof of compliance. Neighbors whispered that he must be broke, scraping by on some dead-end gig, the kind of guy who couldn't afford to fight back. Karen encouraged the whispers. At the last block party, she'd smiled sweetly while telling Mrs. Jenkins from 412 that some people simply lack the discipline for proper homeownership. Alex had overheard it all from his porch, sipping coffee, saying nothing. He was building something instead. Inside the house, the walls were soundproofed, the monitors triple curved, the servers humming in a climate-controlled closet. Apex Capital Management, $4.2 billion under management. 43% average annual return for 3 straight years. Ran from a spare bedroom that looked perfectly ordinary through the front window. No one knew. Alex liked it that way. Publicity spooked the algorithms. So he let Karen think he was a loser. He let the whole neighborhood think it. Easier to watch and wait. The annual Thanksgiving HOA potluck and accountability meeting was the crown jewel of Karen's calendar. Held in the community center with catered turkey, mandatory attendance, and a 65-inch TV usually reserved for inspirational community slideshows. This year, the agenda included resident compliance review. Alex received the engraved invitation on thick cream cardstock. Attendance required. Dress code, business casual. Translation, show up so Karen could humiliate you in front of everyone. He showed up. The hall smelled of pumpkin spice and entitlement. Long tables groaned under casseroles. Residents milled around in their Sunday best. Trading gossip. Karen stood at the podium in a cranberry blazer, gavel in hand like she was running Congress. Her board sat to her right, Mr. Thompson, the retired accountant who fancied himself a financial genius, Mrs. Jenkins, the real estate agent who quoted Zillow like scripture, and a couple of others who nodded on cue. They all wore matching Willow Creek HOA, keeping standards high pins. Alex took a seat in the back row, phone in his lap. Screen dimmed. Karen's eyes found him immediately. "Before we enjoy this lovely feast," she began, voice honeyed and lethal, "we have a few community matters to address. Specifically, one resident who continues to test the very fabric of our standards." The room quieted. Heads turned. Alex felt the weight of 30 pairs of eyes. Alex Morgan, Would you please stand? He did. Calm. No fidgeting. Karen smiled the smile of a woman who had already won. Alex, dear, this is the fourth quarter in a row you've been cited. Your vehicle, that ancient Porsche thing, violates Section 4.2 on aesthetic harmony. It looks like it belongs in a junkyard, not Willow Creek. Then there's the lawn. Our drone footage shows several blades exceeding 2.1 inches. And let's not forget the home office situation. Multiple neighbors have reported you staring at phone screens for hours. At your age, most young men are building real careers. Not whatever this is. A few chuckles rippled. Mr. Thompson leaned in. I've seen those Robinhood apps. Gambling. Plain and simple. You can't even afford proper landscaping help. Mrs. Jenkins piled on, voice dripping concern. We all want what's best for you. Alex, my firm could probably get you an entry-level position in property management. It's a foot in the door. Alex said nothing. He just looked at them. The same mild expression he'd worn for 3 years. Inside, he was cataloging every word, every smirk, every self-satisfied nod. Karen's face flushed with triumph. She loved this part, the public shaming that kept the rest of the neighborhood in line. We've been patient, she continued, tapping the gavel for emphasis. But patience has limits. The board has voted to impose cumulative fines of $4,200, coincidentally the same number as the asset value some of us actually earn through honest work, and place a lien if not paid within 30 days. Perhaps it's time you grew up and moved somewhere more suitable. The room murmured approval. Someone muttered, finally. Karen basked in it, adjusting her blazer like a queen, settling her crown. Alex sat back down, phone still in hand. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. He simply waited, because the TV behind Karen was tuned to Bloomberg, volume low for background ambience. And right now, the ticker at the bottom was starting to scroll something very interesting. The potluck line had formed, but no one was eating. All eyes stayed on the podium where Karen was still mid-rant, voice rising with each new accusation. We pay for private security. We maintain the common areas. We uphold property values that benefit everyone, including you, Alex. Yet you insist on dragging the entire community down with your little phone games. Mr. Thompson nodded sagely. Day trading. I read an article. 95% lose everything. You're 27. Son, most men your age have 401ks, health insurance through a real employer, not some catastrophic plan that covers nothing. Your cousin, well, not your cousin, but people like your cousin have real jobs. Corner offices. Respect. Mrs. Jenkins leaned forward, all fake sympathy. I could get you an interview. Entry-level coordinator. It won't pay much at first, but it's honest work. Better than whatever that old car and messy yard represent. The words landed like the original Thanksgiving dinner lectures Alex remembered from his real family years ago. Except this time the entire neighborhood was the audience. Karen's eyes glittered. She had them. She always had them. The HOA was her kingdom, and Alex was the peasant who refused to bow. He still said nothing. Just watched the TV screen behind her. The Bloomberg anchor was talking faster now. The ticker had switched from generic market updates to breaking. Mysterious hedge fund manager revealed. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy savoring the moment. We've tried kindness. We've tried warnings. Now the board feels a stronger message is required. Effective immediately, your vehicle must be removed from the driveway within 48 hours or it will be towed at your expense. The lawn will be professionally mowed and billed to you at triple the normal rate. And if the home office activity continues, we'll be forced to consider whether you're operating an unapproved business that threatens our residential character. A polite smattering of applause. Someone whispered, "About time." Karen preened, adjusting the HOA pin on her lapel. We do this for the community. For standards. For the children who deserve to grow up in a neighborhood that reflects success. Not whatever this is. Alex's phone buzzed once in his pocket. He didn't check it. He knew what it was, his executive assistant at Apex flagging the Bloomberg piece that had just gone live. The algorithm had been running all morning. The numbers were pristine. $4.237 billion AUM as of close yesterday. His personal stake pushing 8 figures. But none of that mattered yet. The reveal was timed for maximum impact. Coordinated with his PR team exactly for moments like this. Karen raised the gavel again. Any final remarks before we move to the turkey? Alex? Or are you finally ready to accept that some people simply aren't cut out for Willow Creek? That was the cue. The TV volume auto-adjusted. Some helpful resident had bumped it up to hear the community slideshow music. Except it wasn't music. It was the Bloomberg anchor's voice. Suddenly clear and crisp across the hall. We're now learning the identity of the mysterious fund manager behind Apex Capital Management. The hedge fund that's generated an astonishing 43% return over the past 3 years. The room froze mid-bite. Forks hovered. Karen's mouth stayed open. Gavel half raised. The anchor continued. Apex manages approximately $4.2 billion in assets. And in a surprising revelation, the fund's manager and majority owner is just 27 years old, making him the youngest hedge fund manager controlling a portfolio of this size in modern financial history. Karen's head snapped toward the screen. Her face went the color of her blazer. The correspondent appeared outside a familiar Manhattan building. I'm here outside Apex Capital's headquarters. The fund's manager, Alex Morgan, has maintained an extremely low profile since founding Apex 4 years ago at age 23-inch. Mrs. Jenkins dropped her plate. Turkey slid across the floor. According to SEC filings just released today, Morgan has grown Apex from an initial $50 million in seed capital to its current $4.2 billion through quantitative analysis, algorithmic trading, and what insiders call an almost supernatural ability to identify undervalued assets. Mr. Thompson's mouth opened and closed like a fish. The screen cut to the professional headshot Alex's team had prepared. Same face, same calm eyes. The one currently sitting in the back row of the community hall, wearing the exact target button down Karen had mocked. "Oh my God," someone whispered. Karen's knuckles went white around the gavel. That can't be right. There must be another Alex Morgan. It's a common name. But the correspondent kept going. Morgan graduated from NYU with a degree in economics and immediately founded Apex using a proprietary trading algorithm developed during his senior year. The fund has never had a losing quarter. Sources estimate his personal net worth between $800 million and $1.2 billion. Complete silence except for the TV. Alex finally stood. Slowly. No triumph in his posture. Just the same quiet patience he'd shown for 3 years. "Yes," he said simply, voice carrying across the hall. "That's me." The gavel slipped from Karen's hand and clattered onto the podium like a verdict. No one moved to pick it up. The Bloomberg feed kept rolling. Footage of Alex walking into his Manhattan office building 3 days earlier. Same shirt. Same unassuming stride. The anchor noted he still personally managed every trade. Turned down billion-dollar acquisition offers. Worked 18-hour days. And lived without the trappings most people expected from a man worth nearly $1 billion. Karen's smile had frozen into something grotesque. Half horror, half calculation. She tried to regain control the only way she knew how, by doubling down on the only power she still thought she had. "Well," she said, voice cracking before she forced it smooth again. This doesn't change the fact that rules are rules. Alex, even successful people must respect community standards. That vehicle of yours is still in violation. The lawn." "Mr. Thompson cut her off. staring at his phone where he'd frantically Googled Alex Morgan Apex Capital. 4.2 billion. He's worth more than the entire HOA budget for the next decade combined. Mrs. Jenkins was scrolling too. He turned down a $2 billion buyout from BlackRock. Said he wanted to keep control. The room erupted in overlapping whispers. He paid cash for the house. That old Porsche is worth almost $200,000. He's been paying every fine without blinking. Alex walked slowly toward the front. Not aggressive, just inevitable. I tried to explain once, he said quietly. 3 years ago, when the first violation notice came, I mentioned I managed investments. You told me it was gambling. When I offered to show SEC filings, you said they must be faked. When I suggested the Porsche was a classic collector car, you called it an eyesore that lowered property values. He stopped in front of the podium. Karen took one involuntary step back. I'll let you believe what you wanted, he continued. Tone even. Because fighting over grass length and paint shades wasn't worth my time. I had a fund to run. Algorithms to refine. Investors who trusted me with billions. Your opinion didn't change any of that. Karen's face twisted. The polite mask was cracking. Underneath was pure panic at the thought of losing the only thing that gave her power. You deceived the board. You deceived the entire neighborhood. We have a right to know if a resident has resources that could affect. Affect what? Alex interrupted mildly. The 2-inch lawn rule? The ban on solar panels because they're unsightly? The rule that cars must be less than 5 years old and approved by you personally? I've read every bylaw. Karen, I've read the state statutes that govern HOAs. I've read the fiduciary duty requirements you've been ignoring for years while you used fines to fund your little empire. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, suddenly sweating. Now, Alex, we were only trying to help. We didn't know. You didn't ask, Alex said. You assumed. You lectured. You humiliated. And you did it in front of everyone because it made you feel important. The TV was still playing. The anchor mentioned Alex's upcoming IPO plans, taking Apex public within 18 months, potentially valuing his stake at over $1.5 billion. Residents were pulling out phones, texting spouses, sharing the Bloomberg link in the neighborhood group chat that Karen herself moderated. Karen tried one last desperate swing. This doesn't excuse the violations. The board will vote tonight on increased fines. We can still enforce. Alex smiled for the first time all evening. Small. Tired. You could try. But my legal team, 3 partners from a firm that represents the biggest hedge funds in New York, just received the full file of every notice you've sent. They're already drafting the federal complaint for selective enforcement, abuse of process, and violation of my constitutional rights. The lien you threatened? It'll be gone by morning. The tow truck you ordered for my Porsche? Cancel it. Or I'll buy the towing company and fire the driver. The room gasped. Karen's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. No sound came out. Alex turned to the rest of the residents. I'm not here to destroy Willow Creek. I live here because I like the quiet. But the rules you've been living under aren't about beauty or community. They're about control. About one person deciding what success looks like. I've spent 3 years watching, documenting, waiting for the right moment. He looked back at Karen. That moment just arrived on national television. The community center had never been so quiet. Even the turkey seemed to have stopped steaming. Karen stood behind the podium like a statue someone had forgotten to finish, lips parted, eyes darting between Alex and the TV where the Bloomberg team was now interviewing an analyst calling Alex the Mozart of quantitative finance. Mr. Thompson finally found words. Alex, son, we had no idea. If we'd known you were well, managing billions, we never would have. You never would have what? Alex asked softly. Asked intelligent questions instead of mocking me? Measured the lawn with a ruler instead of assuming I was lazy? Treated me like a human being instead of a problem to be fined into submission. Mrs. Jenkins was crying now, mascara running. We thought we were helping you grow up. We thought. You thought I was a failure because I didn't look the part, Alex finished. Simple clothes. Old car. Quiet life. So you decided my entire worth could be measured in grass length and siding color. That's what this HOA has become, isn't it? A place where the loudest, pettiest voice gets to define success for everyone else. Karen finally snapped. The polite veneer shattered completely. You think your money makes you better than the rules? We built this community. We sacrificed. You can't just waltz in with your billions and rewrite everything. Alex tilted his head. I'm not rewriting anything yet. I'm simply pointing out that your rules violate state law in 17 different ways. My lawyers have a list. But here's the interesting part. Karen, I don't actually want to destroy the HOA. I want to fix it. He turned to the room. 6 months from now, Apex goes public. I'll have even more resources. I'm offering every homeowner here the chance to vote on new bylaws, written by actual attorneys, not by someone who gets off on measuring grass. No more 2-inch tyranny. No more aesthetic police state. Solar panels welcome. Classic cars welcome. People working from home welcome. And the presidency? Term limits. Real elections. No more lifelong dictators. Murmurs turned to excited chatter. Residents who had stayed silent for years suddenly found their voices. I always hated that lawn rule. My husband wanted solar, but Karen threatened fines. She towed my daughter's graduation balloon display last year. Karen's face went purple. You can't do this. I'm president. The board, Alex said calmly, is about to hold an emergency vote. Because I just wired $50,000 to the HOA Legal Defense Fund, contingent on new leadership. And I included a clause that any current officer who abused enforcement powers in the last 3 years is automatically disqualified. Mr. Thompson stood so fast his chair fell over. I vote yes. New bylaws. New election. Right now, one by one, hands went up. Karen watched her empire collapse in real time. Gavel forgotten on the floor. She tried one last whisper shout. You'll regret this. All of you. Without standards. The neighborhood will fall apart. No one was listening. They were looking at Alex like he'd just handed them freedom instead of another fine. He picked up the gavel himself. Tapped it once gently. Meeting adjourned. Turkey's getting cold. And Karen, your Mercedes is parked in a fire lane. Section 2.9. I believe that's a $500 fine. Payable immediately. The room erupted in laughter. Genuine. Relieved. Slightly hysterical laughter. Karen stormed out, heels clicking furiously, face a mask of humiliated rage. The door slammed behind her like the final punctuation on 3 years of nonsense. 6 months later, the NASDAQ opening bell rang for Apex Capital's public debut. Alex stood at the podium in a crisp suit, still no flashy watch. Still no entourage, just the same calm expression. His family, real family this time, had flown in, but the text that meant the most came from the new Willow Creek HOA president. Mr. Thompson, watch the whole thing. So proud of you. Not because of the money, because of who you are. The neighborhood finally feels like a community again. Thank you. Apex opened at $47. Closed at $63. Alex's personal stake crossed $1.7 billion. But the number he cared about most was the email from the state regulator confirming the new Willow Creek bylaws had been approved. No more grass police. No more Karen. Back in the neighborhood, the old beige tyranny was gone. Solar panels glittered on half the roofs. Classic cars lined driveways without fear. Alex's Porsche sat proudly in his own, polished and unapologetic. The community center now hosted actual town halls instead of public shamings. Karen had sold her house at a loss and moved to a condo complex with no HOA. Rumors said she was president of the condo board within a month. Some people never learn. Alex sat on his porch the evening after the IPO, watching kids ride bikes without being cited for excessive noise. His phone buzzed, another congratulatory text from investors. He ignored it for a moment, just breathing in the quiet he'd fought to keep. The front door of the house across the street opened. The new owner, a young family who'd bought after Karen left, waved. "Hey, Alex, lawn looks great. Whatever length you want." He smiled, raised his coffee mug in return. No ruler required. Inside, the servers still hummed. The algorithms still ran. The fund still grew. But now the neighborhood grew with it, freer, louder in the right ways. No longer terrified of a woman in a pastel pantsuit with a clipboard. Alex had never needed their approval. He'd never needed the HOA's rules. He'd simply waited until the moment the truth could do what 3 years of silence never could. Turn the tables so completely that the people who once mocked him now thanked him for saving them from themselves. And somewhere, in a smaller condo with stricter rules, Karen Vanderbilt was probably writing a new violation notice to someone else. Some people, Alex thought, would always need someone to look down on. He finished his coffee, stood, and went back inside to check the markets. The grass outside grew exactly the length it wanted to. No one measured. No one cared. And that, finally, was the real community standard.